Patrol, and the Border Patrol agents are telling me the border is getting secure. No one's crossing it. Anybody that does cross that is arrested, they are all facing consequences, meaning they're all being deported. No one's being released, not one of them. ICE agents and supervisors in San Diego are saying the same thing that you're seeing in Chicago. You're seeing task forces with FBI, DEA, Homeland Security investigators, and ICE agents and officers are going out into the cities and eradicating the worst of the worst out of the community. And Tom Homan is absolutely right. I've been in there and I've done this in California. Instead of going into a hard cell where the illegal alien criminal can be easily transferred to me, now I have to wait for them to be released. We get in a foot chase, we get in a failure to yield, crashing into cars, people getting hurt, all because of this ideological insanity that the left has enveloped themselves in with protecting these savages. And they are savages. We're talking about murderers, rapists, drug dealers, child rapists, the worst of the worst. And the Dems are protecting them. It's sick.
You know, by some estimates, there's over 1 million of these violent felons that have either been released from prison or here awaiting trial and all these kinds of things that we need to track down and capture. 1 million of them. I'm not sure we can capture 1 million of them over the next 4 years, but agents have their work cut out for them, that's for sure.
Well, I think it's worse than 1 million. I think there are millions, plural. However, what Tom Homan is doing is going to have a profound impact, meaning I don't have to go arrest all millions of them. All I have to do is stay steady in what I'm doing, and they will leave. No one wants to be a prey that is being hunted. No one likes that. So all these people that are illegal alien, violent criminals, they're looking over their shoulder today. They're just wondering, is that knock going to come in? Is that door going to bang open? What's going to happen? My turn is going to come. And yes, your turn will come. So a lot of them will self-deport, and you're already starting to see that play out in Texas and California right now as we speak.
You know, Tom Homan made it clear they are triaging who they're going after, meaning you're going after the most violent first. And anybody with common sense says if you're going to take resources, go get the worst of the worst. You'll keep Americans safe. But he also makes it clear that if you are in the country illegally, even if you haven't even, made a peep in church, you are still a criminal and you've broken the law. That does not give you a pass, JJ.
No, we call them collateral. So let's say that Tom Homan and his crew goes in and finds that the guy from Thailand that's a child rapist, and they enter his residence, and there's 5 guys sleeping in different rooms or on the floor. I've seen as much as 25 guys, and we determine they're illegal. They're all coming with us, all of them. We're not leaving anybody behind. Everyone that's illegal is coming, and they're going to be deported. And that's why if you really want to, quote, help your community, then you need to get rid of all your illegal alien criminal gang members, because we're going to come into your homes and we find anyone else that's illegal, they're going to.
And what President Trump did with his executive order of designating the cartels and other TCOs as foreign terrorist organizations is he brought counter-transnational organized crime to the 21st century. TDA is not just a problem for the United States, it's a problem for the entire Western Hemisphere. And we have to apply the America First principle of burden sharing to basically share the burden of all these members. And I think there's conversations perhaps with El Salvador and other countries that potentially send these gang members to another country.
Suspected cartel gunman in Mexico fires shots at Border Patrol agents in Fronton, Texas. This all happened about 1 hour ago. Law enforcement tells Bill Malusian it happened as cartel members tried to bring a group of illegal immigrants across the river. The agents fired back. No one on either side was hit. The group of illegal immigrants did not make it across the Red River. Now,
what do you know about the Border Patrol agents exchanging gunfire with Mexico drug cartels from earlier?
They've taken gunfire, and it's going to get worse, Sean, because President Trump's going to seal that border. He's going to put the cartels out of business. He declared them a terrorist organization. We got the whole of government is going to dismantle these people and wipe them off the face of the earth. They're not going to go. They're not going to go lightly. We're taking them out of the trafficking business. We're taking them out of the smuggling business. We're taking them out of the dope business. There's going to be more violence on the southwest border. That's why Trump committed to calling the terrorist organization. He has. That's why the entire United States government is going to take care of those people and abolish them. We're going to attack them not just in Mexico, but in the 42 countries that Jalisco cartel is currently residing in. The Trump administration is going to take them on just like he did the Caliphate, and we're going to destroy them.
We are going to destroy them. Welcome to Truth with J.J. Carroll. Tom Homan is absolutely right. It is going to get worse. Well, why is it going to get worse? Because you just stopped, Donald Trump just stopped in 24 hours a $1 trillion industry. Drug smuggling, human smuggling, child sex trafficking. We're over $1 trillion a year. Easily $1 trillion. Are you going to tell me that those savages are not going to continue their business and they're just going to shut down and go, okay, it's $1 trillion? Do you think Americans are going to stop demanding children to rape? Do you think America is going to stop their demand for hard narcotics? Their child pornography? No, they're not. Those are addictions. Those are mental diseases and addictions that have to be fed. And that's what you're going to begin to see in America. You're going to start to see the border become a war zone. And Donald Trump did the right thing. He preemptively labeled the cartels a terrorist organization because he knows he's going to have to go to war with them. I've been through this. I know exactly how this is going to work. You're going to tighten the border. They're going to get more aggressive. They're just going to start losing money. The pressure from up top is going to be intense, meaning the head savages are going to press down on the human smugglers and the narcotic smugglers because all of their packages are going to begin to build up south of the border in warehouses and stash houses. So what do? As you have illegal aliens that want to cross, you have to feed them. So the cost begins to come. You have to shelter them. The cost keeps rising. You can't get your narcotics across. So then your warehouses start packing up with cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, marijuana. So your warehouses start, just like if you're Amazon, your warehouses begin to pack up and you can't get your packages out. It becomes a problem. You begin to have a profit loss problem. And just like the Google CEOs and Facebook and Amazon, they don't want to hear it. Move the packages. Now, can you imagine you're coming to Amazon warehouse and now you can't move the packages and the people in charge begin to hack your body to show as a show of force. This is what happens when you cannot move my product that I have been paying you for. Do you think that you're going to go to extreme measures yourself? You just saw your homie Jaime get hacked to death. Body scattered. You're going to move that product as hard and fast as you can. If there's Border Patrol agents in the way, you're going to try to kill them. This is going to happen. It's going to accelerate. And that's why Donald Trump has to have the military down there. You shoot us, we open up with a 50 cal. You use a 50 cal, we're going to use rocket launchers. We're going to basically napalm that area. Everyone's in it's going to die. Sorry, this is the way it's going to be. If I'm the commander in chief, not one Border Patrol agent gets harmed. If he does, I'm going on a rampage. I'm going on a rampage across the Mexican countryside, and I'm going to scorch it. Because if you do not scorch the narco smugglers, they're going to kill you. They don't care. They're violent. Violent is an understatement of the century. We are looking at the problems of President Biden, his traitorous decisions, his traitorous ways, and they've crippled America. Donald Trump has been left with a complete bag of crap. And he is now having to eradicate all the problems from the Biden administration. And he's doing it. Tom Homan's doing it. I think this week they had 7,000 criminal aliens arrested. Now, let me make this very clear. There's millions of these people. 7,000 is just like a drop in the bucket. But you just stay steady. You just keep going day in and day out, and making arrests, and you make it impossible for these people. Make it absolutely impossible. State and locals will begin to arrest them and turn them over. It's going to snowball. It's going to snowball. And then people are going to leave on their own because no one wants to be the prey. No one wants to be hunted every single day and feel as if, is this the day they come and get me? We are looking at a mess, an absolute mess. We have our own citizens, our own country turning their back on Americans and their law enforcement and forcing agents to go into apartment complexes, which are basically fatal funnels of death. And if they start to hurt our officers, which they will, it's just a matter of time. It's going to be a war zone in America. And it's going to be the fault of Joe Biden, the fault of the left, and the fault of the media. You guys are scumbags. Every last one of you. I'm going to show you some videos today of them going into these apartment complexes and seeing 10, 11, 12 officers going in for one. Why? Because they have to go in heavy-handed. They have to go in and show a force. When one agent could have just gone into the local prison and hooked them up and deported them. But no, you're going to force us to go through these hoops. And I'm going to tell you, if these agents get killed, which I'm going to pray to God that I'm wrong, but it's going to happen. It's just a math game, a math problem. It has nothing to do with my feelings or what I hope does or doesn't happen. It doesn't matter. This is a simple math problem. When you take thousands of law enforcement officers arresting millions of people, armed encounters, going into their homes, vehicle stops, foot chases, vehicle chases, you are going to have armed encounters. It's just the way it's going to be. And the moment that President Trump and Tom Homan and his attorney generals the U.S. attorneys and the attorney general can make that connection between a sanctuary city releasing somebody that had an ICE detainer, and they could trace it back that it was to, and then you start picking off the sergeant. Sergeant will tell you the lieutenant told me to do it. Lieutenant's going to tell you chief of police. Chief of police is going to say the mayor told me to do it. All right, we're going to arrest the mayor for 8 U.S.C. 1324. You aided and abetted. You gave shelter and comfort to illegal alien. An illegal alien killed this person. You are guilty of that crime. You're connected. You're arrested. It's going to take something like that. I really believe it. Let me show you when people say to me, well, how are you going to arrest all these people? You don't have to. You don't have to arrest all of them. They're going to leave. And I've been seeing video after video after video of this, of people showing me work sites, like warehouse work site, construction work sites, and there's no one there. And before you start with, well, look at it's going to destroy the economy, they're less than 10% of the workers. 10%. But you home builders have given too much money, given too few dollars to those workers, and you undercut the licensed carpenters, the licensed electricians, the licensed sheetrockers. I remember being in California when they always have like a bust boom. It's always bust boom with housing, and they finally lessen regulations and they build as many houses as they can. And I remember talking to a Finnish carpenter, and we were at the gym together. He's an older gentleman, and I said, "How's work?" He goes, "Well, they are all illegal aliens working for a third of what I get. So what I do is because they're not licensed. They're not finished carpenters, have done the 4 hours of apprenticeship as I did and everyone else. So what we do is we sit back and they build these crappy houses that begin to fall apart and they can't pass inspection. And they hire me and my guys and we charge them triple." And he goes, "You can't imagine what I'm seeing. These are just like flimsy. What are they doing? They have no idea what they're doing." The idea that we need illegal aliens is absurd. And I see the Mexican flags waving and I see all this. Do you know, you stupid morons, waving the Mexican flags? Do you know for 4 years, only less than 30% of everyone arrested was illegal alien Mexican nationals? Do you know the only nationality that was deported? Do you know that? Was Mexicans. Mexicans. Everyone else in the whole globe got released except the Mexicans. You Mexican nationals that are living in America, you need to get the hell out. Just get out. You're illegal. Get out. You have no rights. We talked about this with Catholic Charities yesterday. You don't have the rights. You can show me your stupid, these are my legal rights paper. I'm just going to throw it away. I mean, you want it back, I'll put it in your property. I don't care. You can frame it. It means nothing to me. It's worthless. You're under arrest. Oh, you don't want to talk? Okay, you're under arrest. Show this video, Logan, please, of this construction neighborhood where they're building homes. Empty.
This is my second construction site area I've been to, and there ain't nobody out doing shit. The foundations is poured.
Hey, Logan, can I get the clock?
Nobody working. See two of the trucks down there, but I think they're supervisors. Maybe they're trying to verify and see if ice is going to come out or what. I don't know what's going on, but I ain't never seen it this quiet before. This is crazy.
I want you, we need to talk about this for a second, because I'm going to tell you the first thing people are going to say. Well, nothing's going to get built, and then everything's going to cost higher. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is how business runs. What are my costs? I have material cost, I have insurance cost, and then my biggest cost is labor. So let's say my labor cost every month is the total cost of my payroll and labor, materials, everything is $100,000. Legitimate. But if I can hire 50% of my workforce or 10%, and I can save $17,000 on labor, do you think that they're passing that savings on to you? That house that's $450,000, do you think they took $17,000? You think the builder went, whoa, we saved $17,000. Let's go ahead and lower that price. What? No, the builder just pocketed $17,000. Instead of paying U.S. citizens proper wage and then reducing his profit, he's greedy and he takes the profit, the savings of labor, and pockets it. That you could say, well, you know, I don't believe that. The cost of the stuff are going to keep going. Okay, there's a saturation point. So that house is $450,000. It's appraised for $450,000, and you're telling me that you're selling it for $475,000? Nope, not buying it. And now you have houses sitting. So then he's going to have to drop it down to the $450,000. Okay, I'll think about it. $445,000, I'll take it. So the idea that prices are going to skyrocket and Americans are going to be out of money, that's absurd. It doesn't work that way. It's a labor cost. And when the giant corporations or small building groups, they save money, wherever they save money, it's their profit. I'm not bagging on them for profit. I hope you make as much profit as you can. But you're not going to make it by stiffing U.S. citizens. Look, we see a different change. We just left. This is what, 7 days? 8 days. 8 days since Donald Trump's taken office. 8 days. We just had the biggest rat trader, Mayorkas, in the DHS. Look who we traded. We traded a complete communist from the nation of Cuba that has destroyed our nation, and we turned it over to Kristi Noem. What's Kristi Noem doing at about 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, she's in New York City. She filmed this. She did, and she posted it. Can you show this, Logan? This is New York City, like in the middle of the morning, middle of the night. Kristi Noem filmed that and posted, and what she said in their tweet, getting rid of all the dirtbags. We went from a guy that was telling us that everyone's vetted and they're just good, hardworking people and I love them, they're great, to nope, they're dirtbags, we're getting them off, getting them out of our country. Wow, have things changed. We went from a very ugly, diminutive man to this smoking hot DHS secretary. Let's just be honest. She's typical of conservative women. Beautiful. Just beautiful. I mean, you line up the Democrat women and the Republican women. Even the most beautiful, physically beautiful leftist woman is so grotesquely ugly from the inside that you would take our less, just someone is beautiful in Republican because they're kind and they're sweet and they're generous and polite. Or you can go for the grayed out skin. multiple body piercings and the purple hair. I mean, we got tomorrow's Lives at TikTok. I'm getting ready to go, man. It's love connection time. Christy Nome. Incredible. Let's go and show you what's happening in Aurora, Colorado. But before I do, let's make sure we're very aware that there are thousands of gang members in Aurora, Colorado. And these dumbasses are protesting for rapists and murderers. This is how sick America is.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Alright, we're gonna go through some of the signs here, guys.
It's a lot of people. A lot of people in Aurora, Colorado, sanctuary city. So when for those months, everyone's like, oh, those poor people from Aurora. And I was really one of the only ones saying, let it burn down. And they're like, how heartless are you? Why? They want it. It's in their city charter. They're demanding this. Let them burn. Just let it just be raped and pillaged. And then once we get control, then we'll come in and we'll take over. But until then, just let it just burn to the ground. They have no idea what they're doing. None. They have no idea that the rapists and murderers, I can't wait to get to their houses. Let me show you what it looks like in real time to go after a bad guy in Aurora, Colorado, because they're a sanctuary city and won't help us. Go and show this. And please do me a favor and count how many federal agents are involved to go get one person. All it takes is one officer going into a city or state jail, taking the bracelets off and putting my bracelets on him and walking to my car, put him in there, drive him to my station, process him, and put his sorry, savage ass on a plane and fly them back to wherever he comes from. Nobody gets hurt. I'm not dealing with protesters. Illegal aliens aren't running. Agents aren't falling, getting hurt. They're not having to tase this man. They're not having to shoot him. But no, these sanctuary losers have done this to America. I'm going to jump to, if Logan can just prop this up. Can you go back down to the last video, Logan, that I want to show of the state representative? Yeah, I think it's this. Listen to this moron. And it's a congressman. I apologize. But before I do, I want you to please go to our sponsors. This is what keeps our show on, what keeps Worldview Tube going. And I want you to go to sat123.com, sat123.com/JJ. The product I always push is my son's product, is my son's ballistic backpack. Feels like, looks as good and is better quality than anything you're going to get. My son thrashes his book bags. Looks brand new. He's had it for, what is it now, 6 months now? Thrashes it. Nope, no tears, nothing. Has a ballistic shield inside of it. Don't tell me that you don't think, when you drop your children off, you don't think, oh man, nobody even know what it is. No one has any idea besides my son telling everybody because he's the coolest kid in school. This is what is needed in our society. The other thing is the Bivy, B-I-V-Y. It attaches to your phone and it gives you satellite coverage. We live in a time that is uncertain. We can see that we are winning, but it is uncertain if we're honest. And it's uncertain because we don't know how far the enemy, and the enemy is our own people, our own government. What are they going to do to us? Even though Trump, and we have the House and the Senate, we have tens of thousands of bureaucrats running the deep state, the administrative state, as I like to call it. Go to sat123.com/JJ. And the other one is Pet Club 24/7. I love Pet Club 24/7. I have Kurt and Kristen on the show on Thursday. I can't wait to see them. All natural. I carry it with me. I carry it's my pill form. It's kind of capsule form. Mushroom from Japan. It is incredible. My dog has their mojos. I use their cream, their skin cream, as well as the tablets. And they have all of the natural ingredients for your immune system through a mushroom. All natural, can't OD on it. There's no addictive thing to it. You're not buzzing, you're not feeling weird, just natural. And it's for your immune system. My immune system has been shot. I've told you many times. I had COVID twice, once before we knew what COVID was, then once in South Dakota, and could not get any treatments except remdesivir. 50% fatality rate. And then the destruction remdesivir does to your immune system, to your lungs. So I need it. Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com. I got a great guest today. It's Tuesday. It's Ann Vandersteel. But before we go to Ann, can you show this clip? And I want you to listen to this congressman from Colorado talking about how he's not going to stand for it, these deportations. And try to understand, and when you're watching this guy, I want you to listen to his lisp and think about Tom Homan running right on top, running right over him with his little lisp going. Go ahead, Logan, play this, please.
It's the beginning, the opening salvo, if you will. They've indicated that one of the next towns that could be targeted could be Aurora, Colorado, where over the weekend, quote, hundreds of community members gathered in the snowy cold Saturday at Fletcher Plaza to protest Donald Trump's threat of mass deportations, a rally that drew as many as 700 immigrants, activists, and allies. Joining our coverage is Democratic Congressman Jason Crow, who represents Aurora, Colorado. First, what are you hearing from your constituents?
Well, Nicole, I represent one of the most diverse communities in the country, right? And I just want to paint a picture for you. This is a community where nearly 20% of my constituents were born outside of the United States. I have 130 languages spoken in my public school system, right? And these folks are business owners. They go to school with my kids. They work in our businesses. They are so much a part of the lifeblood and the strength and the vibrancy of our community, and they are afraid. Which is why I'm standing up and I'm being very clear about what we're going to tolerate and what we won't.
Does he make you frightened at all? Like, at all? And tell me again, sir, of course, that woman is as engaging and as charismatic as a pencil. How does she have a show? Honestly, how does anybody watch more than 30 seconds of that? But that guy, no one has a follow-up question. Well, sir, how does 130 languages in your school system, how's that beneficial? That's a lot of English as second language teachers, like tens of millions of dollars a year. So you're equating tens of millions of dollars a year from our students to illegal alien children? And that's beneficial? How? Explain that to me. Explain to me how you have 20% of your population is born outside of a country. Are they legal or illegal? No one ever asks a question. Isn't it amazing? No one has. These people are. They're supposed to be journalists and interviewers. How do they not ask any questions? I don't understand. Hold on a second. I need to ask you a couple things. You said a couple statements that are really outrageous. And I don't know if that's a list so much as a very effeminate trait of his nasally voice. But sir, as a beta male, can you tell me how it works that Tren de Aragua gang members are raping and pillaging in your community and you think it's beneficial? Of course, no one asked that question because They are gutless people on the left. Tom Homan, Rodney Scott, who's the commissioner of CBP, and Donald Trump, do not stop. Do not stop. You keep pressing forward. You increase your presence, and you begin to get thousands upon thousands every single day. Do not stop. And you throw these protesters in jail or these politicians in jail that impede. And you only have to do that once or twice, and they will back down. They are cowards. All right. Look, I need it at mypillow.com. I think you got me all worked up. It's not even Libs of TikTok Wednesday. You have me all jacked up. I'm gonna come down after this. I'm gonna need my pillow. My pillow slippers. I don't have my slippers on right now, but I will have them on when I get done with my smoking jacket, and I will be sitting there with my pillow sheets and my pillow towels and my pillows all over my house. Go to mypillow.com, promo code JJ again. Support an American-run business with Americans working there, and Mike Lindell has an amazing story from rags to riches. He has an incredible story of overcoming obstacles and challenges. Go to mypillow.com. My next guest, Ann Vandersteel. I can't wait to talk to her about this topic. I want to just bring her on, and I'm going to show a clip, and I want to discuss it because I think it's huge. It's going to have amazing, immense, profound impact on America. And I'm talking for America to come. So Ann Vandersteel, welcome back.
JJ, it's Tuesday. Great to be with you. I'm here in Charlotte. And yeah, this is nothing like winning since January 20th. It has been absolutely talk about going on a tear over 200 executive orders. And now he's talking about doing what I've been begging him to do for years. Get rid of the federal income tax. Hello, celebration.
Isn't it amazing, Ann? Think of that was not even on the radar, right? That's like a pipe dream, because I've talked to other people about this topic, and it's interesting that people believe what's happened in America right now has always been. Like, we've always had income tax. No. This is only about 4 generations of Americans have paid this, and we've come into this normalization of this treason that we're like, okay, we have to pay income tax. Why? Why are we paying income tax? And you sent me a clip of Donald Trump speaking yesterday, and I saw this clip, and I saw this speech he gave, and I'm aware of this clip. Let me play this clip, and then let's come back and let's talk about what Donald Trump wants to do. Go ahead, Megan, please.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know, the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
What do you make of that, Ann?
Well, I mean, he's really talking about restoring the republic, isn't he? We're talking about going back to the system prior to the complete corporatization of our country. And in the 1870s, we were still really acting as a republic, where the money that was coming in was for the people, into the people's treasury. Today, we use a system of private banks that was passed in the middle of the night on Jekyll Island and, turned into law, unconstitutionally so, in 1913. We were never more wealthy than when we were doing trade unilaterally with countries all over the world, and they were paying tariffs for us to import their goods. I think that is exactly how it should be. It's kind of like a national sales tax, right? It's the same principle. And because everything that came in was taxed, And if we wanted to consume it, we bought it. And we, that was part of it. So we made a lot of money on tariffs for the country. And that's when our country was going in to some really incredible times. Look at the roaring 20s, right? Our country was exploding. And at the time, our infrastructure was second to none. Today, we are a nation of just decrepitness everywhere. I mean, look at what's happened all over our country. JJ, you've been all over this country. You see it. The cities are in disrepair. Our highways are in disrepair. We have all these taxes, and yet where's the money going? It isn't fixing the highways, right? All the gas tax isn't doing any of that. So going back to what he soft pedaled it through the External Revenue Service. Really what he's doing is he's restoring tariffs and he's doing away with income tax. He leaned into no taxing on tips, which I think is absolutely fair. But what he really needs to do is acknowledge the fact that Title 26 of the U.S. Code, which is the IRS, around the fraudulently ratified 16th Amendment, says there is no law that you have to pay tax on your income. It's a voluntary choice that you can gift the IRS if you want. It is a voluntary act. So he is basically bringing the country along for those people, while I've said this for years, calling me a conspiracy theorist and you're a kook and you're going to get arrested if you don't file. No. Hey, folks, I'm here to tell you the 1040 is optional. If you want to sign that thing and hand it over to them and go, yep, I made $100,000 last year and I'm giving you 15. If you don't give them $15,000, they're going to be knocking on your door, or should I say sending you hate mail. But if you never file, you didn't opt into the system. And that's really where we're going. It's part of the Great Awakening. It's part of the reveal. So I'm excited. I'm thrilled. We're restoring the republic, JJ. It's beautiful.
Well, just to follow up what you're saying, Ann, you're absolutely 100% true. It is voluntary. I listened to two prominent non-tax guys, if you will. One was a former special agent in the IRS, and he said, I haven't paid federal tax over 10 years. They fired me. If anybody was going to be audited, it would be me. He goes, I went through and looked, and I did my own research for over a year. I could not find the law saying that there's a federal income tax. It is voluntary. But when you volunteer it, you are now volunteering on the hook. It is a great awakening, Ann.
It's an adhesion contract, which means you are attaching yourself to them. And, the semantics and the word salad, the trick is if you consider yourself a U.S. citizen under the 14th Amendment, which means you are opting in to be a part of their corporation as an employee of people that live in the corporation of the Washington, D.C., 10 square miles, that's really who is qualified as a U.S. citizen. They went around the country and used zip codes. We didn't have zip codes when we had the Pony Express. It was like, okay, it's the farm out at this, this hectare, make a turn at that oak tree, and that's where, the Smiths live. We didn't have all these demarcations. We didn't need any of that. Heck, we have GPS now, right? You don't even need zip codes. So this whole sham is literally word salad. It's corporate autocracy. It's legalese, which is basically stuff made up. Our common law is coming back. As President Trump said, he's restoring common sense to the government. And if you read our Constitution, it's written in common English, and it's around common sense. Why? Because it's all based on biblical principles. Thou shalt do no harm.
Right. Now, let's play devil's advocate. Or let me just maybe ask you this way. Why would any congressman or senator vote against eliminating the income tax? What's their excuse going to be, Ann? Honestly, what is their reasoning for not having it? If I can show you tariffs are going to not only equal, but surpass what we collect on income tax, and then all of your citizens get more thousands of dollars a year in their pocket monthly. Probably some people $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month in their pocket. We're talking about explosion. Why would anyone vote against that?
Because they're in the pocket of the cabal, the international banking community, and part of the whole income tax scheme is the debt slave mentality. In the 1913, when the government launched the income tax, essentially both parents realized they were going to have to work. Eventually, both parents had to work in order to fund the taxes and pay the bills. You had to have two families working, because when you start taking 50%, 40%, 30% of your income, somebody else is going to have to contribute to make up that income that's being lost paying taxes. So when you can relieve one family to now stay home, whether it's the mother or the father, two genders, to raise the children, and you don't have to send your kids to an indoctrination camp because Linda McMahon is now the Secretary of Education, and she's going to, basically disassemble the Department of Education and mothball it into history where it belongs. When you can actually raise your family and have family values and have, God's principles in the home, and you don't need two parents working and kids being farmed out to these camps for the government to brainwash, wow, your country is going to excel, and you free yourself from that debt slave mentality. You don't need big government anymore. And like you said, we're going to have more money than we know what to do with. But that money isn't going to get redirected into FEMA where they squander it from illegal aliens. It is going to get redirected back into the infrastructure, and it's going to go back into the communities. But primarily, it's going to be streamlined for just the 18 essential services that we need. They talk about committees and commissions when you listen to President Trump on that reel. People should go back and rewind this segment with you and me and listen again to what Trump said. He didn't talk about agencies. He talked about commissions, tariff commissions. And it was literally people coming together in a volunteer setting to figure out how to, who to tax and how to, bring this money in and use it wisely. Now we have these agencies that are massive. They're blocks and blocks and blocks in D.C. They employ thousands of millions of people. They're threatening you with guns. This is a joke. It's a joke. And what are you getting for it? You're sending your money overseas to fund more wars. I don't think so. I don't think so. You're sending money to Fort Detrick to create a bioweapon and have it aerosolized and weaponized and used against you. I don't think so. We're paying Fauci and his security. No, we're not anymore doing that. Common sense is coming back, and it starts with the elimination of the income tax.
Well, I want to stay on this income tax just one more moment, because I think this is transformational. If he does this, he is going to revitalize America almost overnight, and he will become a legend, an absolute legend. And people first, when people say, well, they recoil at it, I go, okay, hold on. Let's bring it down to a family level. If somebody came to you and said, hey, listen, your rent is about $2,500 a month, or your mortgage is $3,000 a month. There's a way that, and it's all legal and it's fair. No one's being ripped off. This is just fair. We have a system now where it's going to take care of, you don't have to worry about that mortgage. It's paid every month, and that rent's paid every month. And you'd be like, okay, and you found out this all legal and it's good and no one hurt. In fact, this system is going to infuse money into America, and everyone's going to be more wealthy and more have more prosperity. And then you vote against that. You vote against Americans' prosperity. The only way that is allowed happening, and you're right, they're so corrupt. Our system of government is so corrupt. It is so layered. It is so deep that I don't think Americans fully understand how big an enemy our own government is to us, the citizens of America. I don't.
No, but we're waking up to it, JJ. I mean, I think it's become so obvious over the last 4 years, even if you take Biden out of the equation, although he was a major factor and contributing factor to what happened at our borders. Let's just set that aside. Just COVID, the amount of money that was redistributed to the uber wealthy to make them even more uber wealthy while putting the middle American and mom and pop stores out of business. You were told you had to shut down, mask up, shut up, stand 6 feet apart. How much more satanic is that? But Home Depot, which sold the same shovel that the mom and pop garden store did down the street, was an essential service. Are you kidding? That to me was such an epiphany of the corruption, not to mention everything we learned from all the, the best medical freedom doctors like Dr. Simone Gold and Dr. Zev Zelenko, the top docs out there that basically were explaining this was a demonic wealth transfer, and they were manipulating our DNA because they want to reimage us in the form of Satan versus God's DNA, right? Our spirit, our light spirit, is being manipulated by a fraud. And I think America, whether they understood the religious component, the biblical component, or they just saw the injustice of their businesses evaporating and their entire neighborhoods changing. I mean, middle America got decimated, absolutely decimated. People are still reeling from it. They're trying to figure out how to unbury themselves. This golden age that President Trump is talking about is going to lift. It's the tide that is going to lift all the boats. Nobody's
Yes.
getting left behind this time, and he's showing it right now in his trips to North Carolina. He's got I'm in North Carolina right now. There are 1,000 dump trucks here right now. I am looking forward to getting in my rental car and driving around Western North Carolina and being stuck in traffic after lines of dump trucks. I want to see it. I want to see the revitalization. I want to see the smiles on people's faces. I want the people in California to get their access back into their neighborhoods. I want those permits issued tomorrow, just like President Trump said. There's no reason that you have to ask the government to be able to access your home. Just tells you one thing: they own the land. And this is what the other thing we're going to learn about, JJ. Maybe we can talk about this next week. I think we should. We should talk about the actual alloidal title versus a warranty deed. People don't know this. You don't own the land under your feet if you own the deed to your house. If you've lock, stock, paid your mortgage, they'll take it with property taxes because that deed you file means they are deeded the land. You've deeded the land. Your house just sits on top of land that they own. Try to drill for oil in your property without a permit. Good luck. Try to get a well for water without a permit. Try to add an addition on without a permit. Everything has to be permitted because they own the land. So we can break that down. This is the kind of stuff that is going to set America free. And we don't need property taxes anymore. We don't need any of this nonsense. No. We're extremely wealthy, and we could capitalize on what we have in this ground, $200 trillion worth of assets, JJ, that we can back our monetary system with, and we can set our people free. It's going to be golden and glorious.
Do you think that Donald Trump is going to do these things? Do you think that he is? You do?
I do.
I would never bet against Donald Trump. Common sense. He said that in his inauguration. This is common sense. Next week, let's do that. Let's talk about what's happening in California and what's happening with you in North Carolina once you see it with your own eyes, because I think when you go and you actually get to Asheville and you go into those communities, I think when you report next week, it's going to be like, you won't believe what they've done.
I know.
With the Army Corps of Engineer and everything's coming on. And I want to also talk about in California, when you begin to look at the trees, the way the cars were melted. How was that? The people that are in the know are saying this, I've never seen this before. Firemen are saying, I've never seen this before. Well, what was it? What created the heat so much that it burnt cars and melted them? How is that? I think, Ann, you mentioned it earlier in the segment, is we're in a period of awakening. Not the woke crap. I'm talking about, here's JFK. Here's how he died. Oh my God. Here is RFK. Oh my. Here's MLK. What? Here's 9/11. Here's the moon landing. Here's the AIDS epidemic. Here's the lie of the income tax. Here's what the Federal Reserve has done. Here's the war on terror. Oh my God. What? I think it's going. Here's Big Pharma. This is Big Pharma and tobacco in your food now. Look at what's happened. I really believe it's going to shock the nation to its core, and then we are going to have not only an awakening, there's going to, right after the awakening, I'd like to hear your take on this. After the awakening, there has to be a reckoning. There has to be a reckoning of the damage done and the people that have done it. And I think when we find out and being able to point and say, that guy did it, that woman did it, I think there's going to be Americans that are going to take justice in their own hands. I really do.
You know what? That's the part where they asked her today. I don't know if you saw Carolyn Levitt's press conference today out of the White House press corps, but it was absolutely smoking. First of all, she is on fire, on point, and everything was in her head. She did not use a notebook. There was no flipping back and forth with tabs, waiting for a question to go find the answer. No, she was completely on point, dialed in, knows exactly what time it is in this country, and is up to speed on everything President Trump's doing. Oh, by the way, that's her job, and she did it. She absolutely executed perfectly. I do think that when they asked her about President Trump stripping away the security detail for Fauci and all these people, he said, "Look, they made plenty of money. They can go ahead and get their own freaking security detail. If they want security, they should get it. But the American people shouldn't pay for it into perpetuity. That's stupid." And I agree with him. He's 100% right. Here's the thing: if I'm Fauci, I'm already nervous because Putin is asking for my sorry ass to go to Russia because he wants to extradite, to go after him for the COVID stuff. I think, I know we don't in this country, succumb to terrorism, and we certainly don't give Americans away. But at this point, Fauci and others that perpetrated the crime against humanity, they're going to have to answer for that in the ICC. And I don't see how they're going to avoid the charges that come their way. And like you said, Americans, I don't want to see Americans kill people in cold blood on the street. That's really not how we do, vigilante justice. But I don't have a problem if Americans and in our tribunals find Fauci guilty of treason. There's no pardoning for a crime that hasn't been committed or charged. We know he committed crimes, but he was never convicted. So how does he get a pardon for something that he hasn't even been convicted of? You don't. There's no such thing. So he is going to have to stand. And then let me finish this thought real quick.
Yes,
I think,
please.
but I think we're also going to see the Biden presidency potentially erased. I think we're going to go back and be able to prove it was all fraud. And I think everything that happened from 2020 on forward is going to be undone. The only thing we can undo, sadly, are the lives that are lost from the mandated bioweapon. But I think I think they'll all be undone.
I hope so. And I want Fauci's got to be brought to justice. And I think I heard today, and this is fascinating, I didn't think of it in the legal terms. When he is given that pardon, he's accepted that pardon, he cannot plead the fifth. So he needs to be hauled in front of Congress under oath. You've already perjured yourself once, sir. If you perjure yourself again, you have no pardon for that. You will be arrested on the spot. Here we go. Do you understand me? Okay. And we don't have time limit, sir. You're here for as long as we want you here. And then we drill down and make him spill the beans. And then the moment he perjures himself, Sergeant at Arms, arrest him. Throw that 81-year-old man in jail. I don't care how old he is. Throw him in jail. I don't want vigilante. But Ann, if there's no justice, red-blooded Americans don't know how to deal with no justice. I'm not talking about the beta males and all the sissies. I'm talking about the real men that lost their moms or dads. They couldn't go see them when they died. They died lonely. They have kids that died. They're raging mad. I would be irate. I would want blood. And if you're not going to do it, American justice system, then I'll do it. And I don't believe I'm by myself, Ann. I don't believe I'm an anomaly in the way that I think. I don't think that. I don't think the whole country thinks like me, but I don't believe I'm the lone weirdo in the world that thinks like this. I think there's millions of people like me. Am I wrong?
No, I think I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Americans are in a better place today. The pep in the step, the energy, the vibe when I'm traveling, it's completely different. I feel like the fog has been lifted out of some people. They're seemingly more engaged, looking at you in your eyes when you're walking past people in busy airports. They're not, people are still buried in their phones, don't get me wrong, and I'd like to see that change. But people are now looking up and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're making eye contact, something I haven't seen in 4 years of travel. So people are feeling like they can come out of the shell that they're just trying to survive, and they want to be a part of society again. I see it in the body language. I see it in their activity. And I'm around people a lot when I'm traveling, so I notice these things because I studied it in college, and it's important to me because that nonverbal communications tells me a hell of a lot more than what's going to come out of your mouth. So I'm feeling that I feel like the energy in our country is revitalizing. I feel like we're coming back online. And frankly, President Trump is triaging the patient of America, and he's stopping the hemorrhaging, which is thank God. We're going to turn this ship around.
Thank God indeed. Ann Vandersteel, thank you as always, giving your precious time and your takes. I can't wait to hear next week when you come back from North Carolina to talk about the changes that just one man, just being there changed America. And everyone can find Ann at Ann Vandersteel on X, at Ann Vandersteel, Ground Zero, North Carolina. Everyone should go watch that documentary on Rumble and give you some context of what it was like before. And that was not 10 years ago. It wasn't 5 years ago. That was a couple months ago, Ann. A couple weeks ago. Yeah. And then what we're going to see now is going to be shocking. So, Ann, safe travels. Thank you so much for your time as always.
God bless you, JJ. Have a great one.
All right. Thank you, Ann Vandersteel. Ann Vandersteel is amazing. She's one of the smartest people I know. That's the truth. And I'm okay with saying that either. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I get it. I used to pride myself in the Border Patrol. I would surround myself with the guys that knew everything, knew the very nuanced things, had an administrative guy, had a guy that was the enforcement guy, a guy that was a budget guy, a guy was just awesome on policy. because they were the experts. And I would just make myself the best decision maker. That's what I prided myself. I could intake information, digest it, and then come out with a decision really fast and on point. So I love talking to people like Ann Vandersteel. Love it. She's so far ahead of the curve. It's just, she's beyond. She's so far ahead of the curve. And she's dialed in and she knows what she's talking about. And she gives us her time. I mean, Logan, Lord have mercy. We got 3 minutes left. And Ann took about, what, 25, 30 minutes of that? I could talk to Ann forever. You also can watch a long form interview with Ann that goes about 2 hours and change on The Vault at worldviewtube.com/JJ. Go to The Vault. We have like 4 or 5 interviews on there now. We're doing about 2 a month, and they are I think they're outstanding. I'm not outstanding, but my guests are incredible, absolutely incredible. One of our guests, besides Ann Vandersteel, who is incredible, was Sarah Maccabee, the wife of January 6th. And she called me today or texted me today and said, my husband Colton would love to come on your show and talk about his time. Holy smokes, I can't wait. We're going to set that up, Logan, as fast as we can to listen to a man. And I don't want to hear about, I'm going to give him the option to talk about whatever he wants. But I want to hear, just like we talked to his wife about in The Vault, I want to hear about your life. What was it like in prison? What was it like on your darkest times? What's it like reacclimating to being a married man, having a wife, reacclimating to a home that did not exist before? His wife had to sell their home in order to pay for legal fees. So when Ann and I are talking about justice and retribution, you want to talk about wanting justice. That man, those men, their families, he had 3 years of his life taken away. Just think for a second. Right now, go back 3 years. Think about what's transpired. In 3 years, I retired from the Border Patrol. I moved to Kansas City with my family. I wrote 2 books. I did 2 documentaries. I created a presence in podcasting. My son grew from 9, 10 years old to 13. I missed that. What? Oh, I want retribution, and I would get it. I would get it. Go to The Vault. Go to our sponsors. Support our sponsors because they support us to get this type of information out. You're not going to see this on Fox News. You're not going to see this on MSNBC. You're going to see this on podcasts like this, on stations like this, platforms like this, worldviewtube.com. Please. America is changing. It is changing rapidly. It is great. It is absolutely an incredible feeling to be an American today. God bless America.